ultimate power in the universe.
Last we will reveal ourselves.
I have a bad feeling about this.
You are now tuned into LightSaber Radio. If you only knew the power of darkness.
Here it comes. Let's go.
You are now tuned into LightSaber Radio. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello there.
Oh, we are here. We're back, and welcome to LightSaber Radio, your weekly hive of scum and villainy for anything and everything Star Wars. I'm Charlie, and thank you for joining us for this weekend episode of LSR. Today, we are joined by the wonderful Drew from Tuscan Radio.
Hey guys.
Welcome to the show.
What up, Drew?
Welcome
Yes,
to
so
the
much
show,
fun.
Drew.
Thank you so much.
Let's
Well,
go.
that's the most energy I've seen out of you in a long time, Garrison.
Wow.
Oh, man, it's good to see you back.
Wow.
This episode and the last episode, man, we've been getting a lot more of that energy.
As always, make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit the notification bell to join our live shows on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And if you like this video, drop us a like. It means the whole galaxy. Can I get a hi in the chat? And I hope everyone is doing good this week.
What's going on, Chris? What's going on, Nick?
Oh, it's nice to see the regulars back. I do miss them. I do
Like
miss
a
them over
bar.
the week.
It's like going in to do a bartending shift.
Yeah,
and
it's like going into
your
a
four
bar.
regulars are by the door waiting for
Yeah.
you. Like, okay, well, we'll wait out here until you get everything set up. And then you know what we want, so we expect it on the bar when you walk in. I was a bartender. I had 4 regulars that were like that. They'd wait
I
by
was
the
a
door.
regular at I was a regular at a place once. It wasn't a bar, it was a taco shop, and she knew I got the same burrito every time I came in.
It's like they already had it pre-prepped for you, just waiting for you to walk up. No, my regulars were like very adamant. Like the second the doors unlocked, their drinks better be on the bar. So,
Our Hothbreaker this week, Drew, we start every episode with a Hothbreaker, little icebreaker, get everyone warmed up and chatting. This week it is super simple. You are Grogu. What do you choose and why?
Ooh.
Are you going back to Daddy Mando, or is it the Jedi way?
Why would you say that was an easy one? That's hard.
what you talking about?
That's
Can I go?
so
This is-
easy.
Yeah,
So this is
CJ.
separate from.
Oh, go ahead, Drew. You're gonna say
Sorry.
something.
Yeah.
So this is separate from what I think is actually going to happen. This is just what I would
Okay.
do if I
Yeah,
was
this is
Grogu.
what- I want to
Yeah.
know what you would do if you were Small Green.
Got it. Okay.
CJ, go ahead.
I'm gonna train with Luke
Okay.
because Kyle and I have already talked about this. I think, and we said this on Wednesday. I think it doesn't matter either way, because obviously, if you pick Mando, you're not gonna get Yoda's lightsaber. I'm sorry, I'm gonna manipulate Luke a little bit here.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna get trained by Luke at the lightsaber, and I know his little soft ass is gonna give me that armor either way, because he literally stated in the episode, "The galaxy is dangerous, and I'm gonna teach you how to protect yourself." You're really not gonna give him something that protects from lightsabers and blaster bolts. That's idiotic. And
I don't know if
Luke's
that
gonna
would
give it
protect
to
him against a blaster bolt, though. It got holes in it. You know, the
Anyway.
blaster might go through that hole.
Maybe. We don't know what Beskar chainmail does. That's the first time we've ever seen something like that.
We
So
would have to go right through the hole. Like,
Oh,
there's a lot of
yeah. You have to
overlap.
have really
Like,
good
that's a
aim.
pretty tiny hole.
but I think he's gonna. I would stick with Luke. I'd want to
Yeah.
get the training to learn how to protect myself.
Drew,
and-
what would
As I get done, like with let's say a certain amount of training gets done, and Luke sends me off to go do something, or I'm with Luke and Mando needs help, I can always convince Luke to go help. Kind of be like Ahsoka with Anakin.
That's
Kind
fair.
of
That's
just
quite
nudge,
strategic.
nudge, wink, wink. Let's go help him out.
Fair. Drew, what would you choose if
Ooh,
you were
alright.
our favorite little green frog?
Well, I would probably do the same thing that CJ just said. That I don't want to like manipulate Luke Skywalker. You know, you don't want to manipulate Luke
Is
Skywalker.
that a bit too morally ambiguous for you? Is that a bit too bit too far?
Absolutely. You probably would take the lightsaber though, and know that you're probably gonna get that Beskar armor or the mithril armor,
I mean,
as we called it.
Oh yeah, it is the mithril armor massively.
Totally mithril armor.
Especially like I would not be able, if I was Luke, I would not be able to say no to Grogu. I can't, like that cute face, those big eyes. It's too much.
So you're a pushover for Grogu,
I
huh?
am a pushover. Garrison, what would you pick?
Bro, Screw! I want freedom, bro. Screw you, Luke. Get out of here. Plus, I already know from watching the other movies, Grogu's about to get his ass whooped, but Kylo Ren's going to destroy everything. So there's not really a point. Like, fuck you. I'm going with Mando. Mando is going to keep me safe. We're going to have a good life. I can do what I want.
And just think,
We
like,
want
if Grogu
no
defeats him, he gets
attachments,
Narcissism.
no like love, no dude, bro. What kind of life do you want me to live? Or I'd go with Luke for a little bit, wait until he teaches me some basics so I know what I'm doing, then ditch him and go back to Mando.
Okay.
Fair.
I'm going with Luke. I'm taking the lightsaber. Then I'm turning to the dark side, and then I'm killing everybody.
100%.
Always that.
I'm taking over the galaxy.
Every time.
Kylo Ren's a punk compared to what I'm about to do.
He burnt a building. That's all we saw. He threw a building on his uncle. I'm going to kill people.
Yeah.
Oh my
I would
goodness.
have
The dramatic effect over here.
I would go straight back to Mando. Not interested. Like, love lightsabers, love lightsaber training. Absolutely here for it, but I'm not here for the concept of no attachments. Don't take me away from my father figure, the only person who's ever loved me. Like, no. I want to sit in the little droid compartment and look out into space and eat as many frogs as I want. That's all I want. Happiness.
Oh, and cookies. You can't
And
forget
cookies.
the little blue cookies.
No, because he sicks them up if they go too fast, and now Mando goes too fast, and it's going to be a mess in there. And
Just imagine he puts Grogu in his lap and he's got to put a bounty in there. He's like, God, it's so gross in here. Yeah, this is the ride you're going to have to take.
I don't know if I would believe anybody wants to train me in a hut that some spider or some ant robots built.
will you leave the ant robots alone?
I would be like, dude, I don't want to be here. Your floor is dirt. Like, Mando got a ship. You got a dirt
We stay
floor.
in nice hotels. We get random food at every planet we go to. I get to eat what I want. I get to be cute, and everybody loves me. I get to see Pelimoto anytime we need ship repairs and her droids. Nah,
We
man,
get
I
ladies.
ain't
We
going.
got DoorDash ladies who are bringing us eggs on the ship. It's great.
Okay. Since we have a guest this week, since we are joined by a member of Tuscan Radio, Drew, we want to hear all about your podcast, how it started, why Star Wars is important to you. Why Tuscan Radio? Why podcasting Star Wars?
So we started, or I should say I started because it was just me for about 2 years. Just like because we started in like September 2019 is when I started the show. Super exciting time for Star Wars. The Mandalorian was about to come out. We were about to get the wrap up of the Skywalker Saga in episode 9.
Peak time.
The weakest of the Star Wars shows, in my opinion, was Resistance. I didn't hate it though. I didn't hate it, and I was moderately anticipating the second season. And then, so when it started, it was called the Mandalorian Podcast. And then we got through that fall. We were covering Clone Wars. And then COVID happened, and that's when it really did take off, and I was able to do a lot more. We covered all the shows, and then The Mandalorian Season 2 premiered, and that's when the name changed to Tuscan Radio.
Nice.
Because I just thought that was a better name. And
I like it.
there were a lot of podcasts called The Mandalorian Podcast.
You get like 30 when you type in. Mandalorian.
Yeah. We love an
yeah.
oversaturated market.
Yeah. So, and then it's been like running smoothly for the last, about year. There was a bit of like a hiccup, but then like we just got right back on track with Bad Batch, and we've been going. We just finished up all the movies. We're doing 2 podcasts a week for Boba Fett. We're just trying to figure out what to cover and like what to talk about for that like 12-week period between Boba Fett ending and Kenobi starting. So yeah. Star Wars means to me, wow, that's a tough question. Just like, I'm not really sure. It's just always been there. It's just always been there for me. What probably differs for me about how I became a fan from probably the rest of you and a lot of people was it wasn't the original films. it was the Clone Wars, it was the Lego games that really like brought me into it. So, and I love the original films so much. Like, who doesn't? Who doesn't love those movies? But Clone Wars for me is Star Wars. That's always going to define what Star Wars is to me, and I love that. Like, there's going to be an entire generation now where The Mandalorian is Star Wars for them, and I love that. And I can't wait to see the sequel generation kids grow up, and that defines Star Wars for them. Just how the prequels have done. So,
Hello, that's me.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's very much like the 1313 guys when they came and talked about their show. For them, it was watching Clone Wars with like their dad, and it was something that was done after school, and it wasn't a knowledge of the originals or the prequels or any of the books or the comics. It was just this pure, very narrow entryway into something that, and I bet your mind exploded when you realized that there was more and more and more, and it just kept coming. Because that's what happened to me. I watched The Phantom Menace for a year straight because I didn't realize there were any other films to watch. It was just that one.
Just the ending. It's like there's such a huge
wore-
plot hole. Like, what happens with Anakin?
I
What's
wore
going on
that
here?
VHS tape to breaking point. It broke and I wasn't able to watch it anymore because I watched it so intensely. Didn't realize there were any more films. And then I did. And my world just exploded. Star
Well,
Wars is so good for that.
I'd always had the knowledge of the other movies, and at the time there were 6. There were 6 at the time, and it was just Clone Wars, and Clone Wars was on like season 4, season 5 at the time.
Golden
So
Age.
there wasn't that
Golden
much.
Age.
There wasn't there wasn't that much then. There was substantial amount of like on screen stuff, but yeah, and then just Rebels came along and the sequel films and Rogue One, which is my favorite Star Wars movie. And it's just continued to grow and expand. And I'm just like remembering back in like 2017 where there was talk of like that Yoda movie and that like Jabba the Hutt movie. You guys remember those?
Yeah, I remember seeing the
those
posts
rumors.
everywhere. I remember commenting all the time. No, I don't want Jabba the Hutt. Give me some Boba Fett, or give me a Vader film, like a standalone Vader film, and something that's not Jabba the Hutt. Because I'm sorry, I didn't like Jabba the Hutt in the first place, and to give him a movie, he got a movie. He got the Clone Wars movie. He got the Hutt family got their one chance, and they screwed the pooch on that. No more. Bye.
And then the twins have done nothing in Book of Boba Fett. That was a cool concept. They just did nothing with them.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of execution.
No. I did
For
appreciate
me-
the upgrade in the CGI though. It made them feel a lot more in universe. I think for me, like Jabba specifically, even the puppet Jabba, which like I have a real soft spot for all of the puppetry that's used in the original films. But none of it always just felt a bit out of place for me. Whereas this CG iteration of these kind of Hutts felt more authentic and more kind of in that space, at least for me anyway. I know this other lot had some issues, but that's fine.
First, let me comment on Dylan's comment here. He says the Vader film was episodes 1 through 6.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about
agree.
the development of Vader.
Vader got his own film, CJ. It's all 6 of them.
No, hold on. I'm not talking about the development in the late stages. Like, there's a gap in between. I want to see him go to Naboo and see Padme's tomb and him do all the cool things that we see in the books and hear in the books and the comics.
I'm actually backing CJ on this. I want more ending of Rogue One stuff. I want to see Vader going
Thank
Vader.
you. I want to see peak Vader. I don't want to see anything else but him go and see Padme and slay half the Naboo people. Well, not half the Naboo. Like anybody that stands in his way in Naboo. The big creature that grabs Qui-Gon Jinn's chip when they're going up to go to Naboo or down to the Gungan city. I want to see Vader fight that because he gets attacked in the comics by that. Like I want to see stuff like that in live action. You know how cool that would be?
Yeah.
Well,
with that said, we did see so far what Disney's done to Boba Fett, in my opinion, and I just don't touch it, Disney. Let Vader be Vader. I don't want to risk it.
Drew, I'm so sorry. I was going to ask you another question, but you were already talking.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though, is like with this idea of an all-inclusive canon, and it's something that we've been talking about on the podcast a lot, is particularly with characters like Darth Vader and Poe Dameron, is you just see them go through the same story beats where they learn the same things. Like Poe's gone through the same arc 4 or 5 times between the comics and the movies.
Yeah.
Vader has had to let go of Padme, like 3, 4, 5 times now through his like several comic series and the Lords of the Sith novel. So while I'd love to see it in live action, I know in the back of my mind that that's what the story arc that they'd be using, and I just don't know if I want to see that again.
I don't think they'd get Natalie Portman to sign up to even cameo as kind of like a flashback scene. I think she is done with anything Star Wars. After being in Thor, I think she's done.
Well, she's coming back to Thor.
She is.
Yeah,
she is. So I think there is enough money that Disney has.
I would argue
they have enough money.
Yes,
but they're also making her. They're also making her Thor. I'm sorry if I'm in a kind of role where I'm like the love interest of somebody and I get to take over that superpower, I'd come back. What you talking about?
Fair.
I wouldn't hesitate. I'd be like, deal, I get the hammer. Deal.
Yeah.
Drew, I wanted to ask, you've said you've been doing your podcast for sort of like three plus years now. What's been your favorite topic to cover on your podcast? Did you was it the Clone Wars stuff? Was it specifically getting to go over the movies?
The movies were actually quite difficult to cover.
Oh.
Because they've always been like they've been such an ingrained part of my life that you don't want to talk negatively about them.
No.
Like you can't talk negatively about A New Hope or The Empire Strikes Back. The favorite thing I've covered, if I'm being completely honest, it was the Disney Investor Day.
Oh,
Disney
really?
Investor Day. Yeah, that was so exciting. I watched that live.
Nice.
I watched that live. I lost it so much during the Star Wars stuff. And then they took a break. And then I did it all again for the Marvel stuff. So getting to do those 2 podcasts for Marvel and Star Wars was incredible. It felt like, like going back and listening to podcasts about from October 2012 when Disney first bought Lucasfilm. It felt like that. Because prior it was Mando season 2 and season 3, of course, Andor and Kenobi, and that was going to be it that we knew of, because Boba Fett I think was still a rumor at that point. Mm-hmm. So that was very exciting. It was super exciting. I've loved covering all of Mandalorian, all of it. These last 2 episodes of Boba Fett have been, I think, some of the best Star Wars that Disney's put out.
I have to agree.
Yeah, it just, I've really not been excited about Star Wars until this past week and a half, since the Disney Investor Day. That was the last time I've been really, really excited about Star Wars.
Yes, Rural Farm Boy, we have Drew.
Hey, Rural Farm Boy, nice
show.
to see you back.
He's back.
He's all excited.
Oh, bless him.
I'm glad to see him in the chat, though.
He's great.
Glad he figured it out and are able to comment again.
Drew, thank you so much for letting me pick your brain about your podcast. I'm sorry if I put you on the spot a bit.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Thank you. Right, Kyle, are we going to get into it? Are we going to get into possibly the biggest Star Wars beef that has ever beefed?
So I know that there was some stuff being talked about online.
The original beef.
The original beef.
Last week on Twitter, it was on Instagram. I seen it a couple times, and then there was a couple posts or I think comic books on their show, or not their show, but on their webpage. There was a person that brought up, and there was a lot of arguments, and I thought that this would be a good topic to talk about, and it is why did George change the scene when Han shot first originally? In the original trilogy, we seen Han shot first. When he remade it, George changed it. And we know why George changed it. George himself has said, in a Washington Post interview, why he changed it. But I kind of want to know everybody's thoughts on, do you think he did the right thing? And what would you have done differently?
I'm just going to jump in because I wanted to provide a bit of context for any listeners who may not necessarily be aware of the detail behind some of this. Obviously, in the original first cut of the 1977 Star Wars: A New Hope, Han shoots first. We know this to be true, accurate and true. However, in 1997, he went back to the special edition and it all started being changed. And after that 1997, he did it again in 2004 and then again in 2012, just before Disney bought Lucasfilm. So he well and truly has not left it alone. And he says it's about, I quote, making the film the way it was supposed to be made and finishing it the way it was supposed to be finished. But it caused outrage, absolute outrage in people. Out of all of the things he changed, this seemed to be the one thing that really, really got people worked up. A quote I found from George himself. He said, Han Solo was going to marry Leia, and you look back and say, should he be a cold-blooded killer? Because I was thinking mythologically, should he be a cowboy? Should he be John Wayne? And I said, yeah, he should be John Wayne. And when you're John Wayne, you don't shoot people first. You let them have the first shot. It's a mythological reality that we hope our society pays attention to. Great. But it doesn't make any sense in terms of Han Solo's character.
Well, my thought process on this was, okay, John Wayne was a cowboy. The whole point of being a cowboy is who has the fastest draw. So that means you're going to shoot first if you get your gun out first. So I was like, I didn't understand why. Like, okay, George, what was this reference about? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Me personally, I would have left it alone. He's supposed to, throughout the rest of the film, throughout all of it, he's a scoundrel. That's who he is. Even after he marries Leia and they have kids, he still bones on her. He's a bad guy. He's not a good man. This is Han Solo we're talking about. He's a spice runner. He's a smuggler. He's the bad guy. And the whole point of it was that's the thing, that the women are attracted, the princess is attracted to the bad guy. It goes back to the thing that women are most likely attracted to the bad guy. So the point of changing it didn't make a lot of sense to me ever. Like, it just, and for me being around for all of the films,
yeah,
I'm looking at it like, what, why, what? And then, like, when they started adding the blaster scorch mark on the wall and all this other stuff, like, all right, y'all just taking this too far. We don't even care at this point.
Okay, CJ, what? Tell us all about it.
All I gotta say is he shot first. I don't care. I will never care. I'm sorry. I remember, because I had the VHS, the original VHS, before it was all changed. My grandfather had all of them. They were in the silver box. It had Vader on it. Had all of them, right? And I remember watching it, and I thought, as a kid, watching Han, because he's already at gunpoint. He's sitting there. Greedo's already got the jump on him. And the fact that he still reaches down, quietly unbuckles the strap,
shoots
and
him
grabs his gun ever so slightly. I'm sorry. That's self-defense if you got a gun at you. It's who's going to pull the trigger first. He's already at gunpoint. It's just who's going to shoot who. I don't know why
100%.
George changed it, other than to piss people off and to cause. I think he did it. He didn't do it to change the look of George. No, hold on. Let me finish my statement. He did not change it to make Han look like a good guy. He changed it so just because it would cause controversy. The man wanted it to be relevant. He wanted it to be. He wanted people to talk. He wanted people to pay attention. He wanted people to be like, okay, well, why'd you do that? Well, now we got to go back and watch all the movies. We got to go and buy the rest of these and see what else he changed. That's what I think he did.
Wholeheartedly disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't think he.
That's fine.
Personally,
That's just how I feel.
To George, Han Solo is his character. He wrote separate from Harrison Ford's performance and what he brings to the character. That is George's character on a piece of paper. To us, Han Solo is that thing on the paper, but he's also Harrison Ford's performance. And I think, as we saw from the directing in the prequels, George doesn't necessarily understand human beings very well. The dialogue, the speech, all of that. And he still, after all this time, sees Han as the written character on that script who maybe wouldn't have shot first, But Harrison Ford's performance as this cocky, arrogant cowboy
Right.
became something different. And George went, no, I don't like this. This doesn't fit. This isn't right. I need to change it until it's correct for him. I never think the man intended controversy. It was never anything like that. It's his need for perfection that he feels he has the right to, and it becomes down to the artist and the art and the artist. Drew, how do you feel? Because you've not had a chance to.
It's valid. I give you a valid point on that real fast.
Fair.
He also, in the hallway scene when he ran into all the stormtroopers, they didn't fire yet. They were still in shock. And he shot somebody quick, real fast, and then turned around and ran. I'm sorry, that's just Han Solo. He's going to shoot first no matter what it is.
I do agree with your point to a degree, because as Nick just pointed out in the chat, it is a marketing genius. Like, it is smart.
Okay. A couple of things. One, that hallway scene is a little bit different shot. When he shoots Greedo, it's more calculated, more smooth. Yeah. The hallway scene is like, oh shit, shoot and run. It's more a little bit more panic. With Charlie, I agree with Charlie. I don't think originally it was for to cause disagreement and to cause the argument. I think later he embraced that aspect of it, because you see him showing up to interviews with Han shot first shirt. I think he embraced that aspect of it kind of as a joke, but I don't think he intentionally wrote it in to cause that conflict. I agree with CJ a little bit about like why it wasn't a good idea, but I'll offer two more reasons why I don't think they should have, why Han shot first. One, is Greedo just the worst shot in the world? Like, what kind of flipping bounty hunter are you to miss a shot point blank? Like, who are you? What? So that's the first one. Like, how bad is Greedo? Like, that just makes it so stupid. Number two, also to do with kind of like with what George Lucas said about he's a bad guy. How would he ever be able to marry Princess Leia if he's the one who shot first? Well, you're completely disregarding. Are people not allowed to change? That's the whole point of Star Wars. The whole point of Darth Vader's journey is that people change and people are capable of redemption and becoming it better and becoming new. And I think, within Darth Vader's journey, why can't Han Solo change and be the good guy? Why does he have to? I understand you want to make a good role model that kids can look up to, but at the same time, every kid is going to make mistakes. Who are they going to emphasize more? The guy who overcomes his mistakes or the guy who's perfect?
Thank you for coming to Garrison's
You want your kids to idolize a womanizing.
Totally. Drew, how do you feel? I feel like we've not given you a chance to.
Yeah. I really do see both sides of it, but if I have to pick a side, I will always choose the side of the filmmaker. I will always side with George.
That's fair.
It's his vision. As someone who really wants to go into film, I understand that you're never done. You are never done writing a story. You are never, once a movie comes out, it still lives in your mind. It's still being written. And George had this incredibly rare opportunity to go back and change the films after they'd all been released. And he had this vision now, just like after he'd finished 6, because George had a basic idea of what he would do. It was never as planned out as people think it is. It was never as planned out as people think it is. But once he did have it all completed, and he saw the journey that Han Solo had gone on, he saw that maybe that moment didn't necessarily even mesh well with how it ended in Return of the Jedi and where George wanted to go with his sequels. That's just my opinion on it. And one thing that we quote on the podcast a ton is Makanki. So
yeah, Maclunky, which apparently translates to "I will end you." It was taken from Anakin and Sebulba's exchange when he's a kid. That was the last thing that George did before it went to Disney and wasn't his anymore.
Well, somebody that's worked in the industry and has dealt with directors and writers, they change shit all the time. like constantly. Oh, we don't want you to say that now. We want you to say this. What? I've been practicing this for 2 days. What are you talking about? Now you want me to say something totally different? They are constantly changing stuff. And I do agree with Drew on the fact of that George is a perfectionist. So he had a lot of the scenes were scenes that he originally wanted to put in the first movie or the first draft of the movie, but he couldn't because of budgeting. And then to have the money to go back and be able to change them all and put in the stuff that he wanted to put in and add the stuff and change the stuff the way that he wanted to do it, he had the opportunity to do it, and he took that opportunity. And I don't blame him for that, even though I like the originals the best. But it also gave him the ability to say, I am canon, basically is what he is saying. This is mine. I can do whatever I want with it, whenever I want with it, and I don't have to get nobody's approval, and I don't care what the fans think. You either like it or you don't. I can do that because I'm George Lucas. And George Lucas has been that person in many interviews, like when they've asked him questions, he's been like, because I wanted to, or it was my idea, or that's what I originally wanted to do. So we see that George is somebody that is not restrained by opinions or the film industry. He does as he wishes to do.
But the thing is with the story is when you meet Han Solo, you see this rough cut, spice smuggling, I owe 1,000 different people money guy who's just in it for himself. And throughout the movies, there's a lot of progressions. When you meet Han Solo, you see the guy that will take you out if you're about to take him out. You see that progression throughout the movies. Like, don't get me wrong, I agree with Drew and I agree with you, Kyle. Like, yeah, it's George's ultimate vision to do it the way he's always wanted to do it, and now that he's got the money and stuff. But you saw that progression, and by the end of Return of the Jedi, you see that he went from the I can shoot first, I'll kill you if I have to, I got to get the job done, I got to make sure I can pay what I owe, to I got to help my friends. I'm in love with this woman and she needs my help. And these damn Ewoks are annoying kind of person that we know. Like it's a lot of progression when you watch it. And when you go back and you change it, it made me question when I was, as it changed, it made me question like, okay, well, why did he do that? You know, why did you change that? Because you can see that there's growth in the character in that arc. And then now it's just, he's always been like this. He's always been on that teeter-totter of if he has to, he will. Of maybe he will, maybe he won't. Like my girlfriend and I watched it yesterday. I sat there and we watched it all. For one, Greedo should have just shot him. Hands down, should have just shot him. He talked way too much and he gave Han way too much time. Plain and simple.
When I was watching it, Drew and Garrison, we'll get to you in a second. But when I was watching it, because I did the same thing as you, I watched it yesterday. And my thought process was this. Like, why didn't Greedo just come in like Mando and be like, dead or alive? You know, I could bring you in cold or I could bring you in warm. That's what I kept thinking right there. Like, Greedo, why did you shoot him?
Hunter's Guidebook. I have the Bounty Hunter's Guidebook that came in this like Bounty Hunter's box thing that lights up and it's all the cool stuff. All the bounty hunters trash talk the hell out of Greedo, telling him he's an idiot. He should have. He don't listen to anything that Greedo says in the book. There's a couple spots where Boba Fett crossed out what he said and wrote something else.
I love that. I love when books do that.
I love this book to death, and I'm like, wow. Even the bounty hunters think Greedo's a punk. So
go ahead, Drew. You had something to say.
Well, you mentioned the Ewoks, and I just have to ask if you guys saw that thing that John Campea put out a few weeks ago about why the Ewoks are like total murderers and stuff. Did you guys see that?
I think I did. Amazing. I think we've argued this on the podcast that they are in fact war criminals.
It's like, they just murdered a family of 12 last week.
Yeah,
with no hesitation.
Was hysterical. I like we knew they were murderers and they ate the stormtroopers. I'm
sorry.
Never
what?
Really.
Did you not know that? They didn't just kill them.
I need a minute. Nobody look at me. I need a minute.
CJ, I thought you was gonna send me that.
Oh yeah, I've been trying to find it because it's on a certain website. It's the guy that I told you that wrote about it all. I've been trying to find it because like the original website it was on, It's not there anymore. So I gotta find it on somewhere else. So I've been searching for it like crazy. But I will send you it the second I find it. But
really
they are some human eating crazy. That's why they had Han and Luke and Chewie tied up. They were like, oh, it's gonna be good about to cook tonight. There's gonna be some good eatings tonight. The Wookiee's gonna last us like a month. So this is gonna be great.
Wookie jerky.
Like that, and one thing in there is like that dress that Leia's wearing.
No, because I know where this is going. I know. No.
Yes. The second I heard the dress, I'm like, oh, please say it. Say it, Drew. You gotta say it now. You gotta say it now.
Oh, you want me to say it?
Yes, say it.
Yeah. That dress is from like the mother of like a family of 12 or something, is what he said in the video.
Yes. That means they had some good eating then too.
George, you really didn't need to bring like Ed Gein into this. Like this doesn't need to be like a lampshade sofa kind of affair. This is not something I thought you guys might find interesting about Hannibal Lecter about all of this hand shot first stuff. In 2014, Harrison Ford participated in a Reddit AMA and asked me anything. And he replied to the question about who shot first with, I don't know and I don't care.
That sounds like a Harrison Ford.
That's just Harrison Ford.
That is just Harrison Ford.
The only thing he's ever
got to understand too. Money. He's probably asked that a million times.
Yeah.
Over the last 40 years, who really shot first? I don't care. Leave me alone. Why do you keep asking me this?
Harrison, come back out from your microphone. What were you going to say?
No, it's good. Keep going.
No, but say what you was going to say.
What you going to say?
No, I just think kind of with the Han Solo character, kind of what Nick said. Han, like what Harrison brought to the character was, I think, more of a guy who would shoot first. Now, if I was Harrison Ford and I did want to change it, and I did want Han to shoot second, here's how I would do it. We all know Han Solo is influenced heavily by like kind of cowboy Old West stuff. So you take the story of Billy the Kid. There's a story of Billy the Kid. He's a famous outlaw, and a bounty hunter comes to take him. And Billy the Kid's sitting at the saloon, sitting at the bar, facing away, his back turned to the guy. The guy comes in, says, hi, how you doing? And at first, it's kind of just a casual thing. So Billy the Kid's like, oh, got a nice gun. Let me see the gun, right? And he looks at the gun. It's a revolver. And he looks at the revolver, and he sees that he's only got 3 bullets in the revolver. So he rotates the cylinder so that the next shot is going to fire on an empty chamber. Then he gives the gun back to him, and the guy finally says, all right, I'm here to bring you in. And he doesn't even turn around. He just keeps looking at the bar. Here's the guy pull the gun out, and here's the guy fire, but obviously it's on an empty chamber, so nothing happens. And then he turns around with a smile. He's like, gotcha, and kills him.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So if you want Han to shoot second, have it that way. Where he's got some kind of plan to make sure that if the other guy does shoot first, he's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Because then you can get the character who's not gonna shoot first, but you also get a character who's prepared and he's not gonna leave that kind of thing up to chance and get himself killed.
Drew?
I don't think it's overanalyzed, to be honest, because he said, being the devil's advocate, does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? Do you think this topic is overanalyzed? It is, but it isn't. It isn't because hold on. It is because
where is the dissertation?
You're listening to the wrong podcast. Everything is being analyzed.
2, it's a topic that's always talked about, but never in great discussion. You don't get a lot of podcasts that will pull this up, and everybody seems to agree with it. Like, yeah, George did great. All of us have a different opinion. We may agree with the other teammates' opinions. We might disagree, but in the grand scheme of what we're doing with this, is that we all have a different view. We all have a different idea. We all think that it could have been like this. It could have been like that. And it's just a lot better that way.
Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that Nick Bakewell just pointed out in the chat is George the storyteller and then Harrison the storyteller. I disagree with that, because one thing that I read is just like the actor serves the character and the character serves the story. Harrison Ford, I mean, in a sense, it would then be a servant to the story that George is telling. While I love his performance, I love Harrison Ford in everything, but what the whole Han shot first thing, that is part of the story that has nothing to do with Harrison Ford. That would have happened regardless of who you cast.
True.
So
That's fair.
I don't honestly, and that's one of the big topics that comes up a lot is if somebody else could play Han Solo, like really play Han Solo. And I don't think that there's too many people out there that could be Harrison Ford.
No.
That's why I don't think that people should put him in a point. This is a whole
Jamie
new
Foxx
character.
counts.
This is a younger character in like the Solo story. It's a younger character. This is younger Han. Han has grown from that point by the time we get to New Hope. So he's a different person at that point. And it's something that's basically on this topic as well because Han grows. So it's okay
Really,
for him to
Darius?
shoot first.
Really, Darius? I was thinking Kurt Russell, but all right.
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell's too old to play a young Han Solo.
No, I'm talking about I'm talking really. I'm talking
Ricky
about originally, like in the running, Kurt Russell went for that role and was passed up
He did,
for
yes.
for Harrison Ford.
What?
There's only two people in my mind now that I'm like, I've seen all their acting, I've seen all their movies. There's only one other person that I feel like would have been a great Han Solo, and that was Kurt Russell.
Well,
But I would-
actually.
Mhm.
Go ahead. Finish your thoughts, CJ. Sorry.
But he is. It wouldn't be Han Solo now without Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford brought this special vibe, this attitude, this cockiness, this
Dude.
just this personality. Like anybody else wouldn't have been able to play it as well as Harrison Ford. For some reason, I feel like this was Harrison Ford just being him,
Yeah.
but being called Han. Because I feel like that would be Harrison Ford in that universe.
That
is
was
just
Harrison.
like that.
Yeah, that was Harrison Ford's first kind of
Right.
real acting job. He was a carpenter before that. Like,
He did one role before that,
Oh, no,
and
he
that was
did.
George's. He was the one of the racers in American Graffiti. at the end.
That's it. But to have like a leading role, to be kind
Yeah.
of the main man.
There's
Yeah,
just
I agree. I think actors have such a big impact on the character. To just completely separate the character from the actors, I think it ignores a lot about characters. Like, I so much of characters are built upon what actors do for them. I think that you can't ever separate an actor's impact on how an audience views a character.
Look,
then-
at,
With that-
how,
and
look
plus-
at how Tom Hiddleston has behaved towards Loki, the character. That's like a 12, 15 plus year standing character now. And that man has poured heart, soul, blood, sweat, and tears into building that character into what we know and love now. And
Well-
I love that Harrison Ford kind of had the opportunity to have 3 whole movies to be like, I'm going to make this character
Yeah.
this, but more.
And,
Well,
and
and
it
then-
also brings up a cool idea if you were to like a fun topic to do with like if you were to recast it, who would you cast?
I'd love to
It's
do a fan
It's
cast.
almost an impossible thing, but
So
sorry,
That-
Kyle, what were you
that
saying?
one, I couldn't change Luke Skywalker because Mark Hamill is just a legend himself. I mean, he's the Joker. He's the trickster. He's done so much, and for him to have that one major role as Luke Skywalker, you can't change that. You just can't. And it's the same thing with Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford has all these amazing roles, but you cannot envision him not being Han Solo. I can cast anybody else. Everybody else in the movie,
and the
except for
crazy
Carrie
thing is,
and those big.
the crazy thing is that when you look at it, and people got to understand, like in the original movies, when Carrie Fisher tells Harrison Ford, "I love you," he says, "I know." That was not scheduled to be like that. He was supposed to say, "I love you" back. He put that in there, and it worked out. It made the character. A lot of people don't realize that when you're doing stuff, sometimes you'll say something and they will use that instead of what the original thing was written because it's better. It just came more natural. And that's the things that a lot of people don't look at. There's been plenty of times that I was supposed to say something as a character and I said something different. And they left that in there. So, and that's just as a voice actor. That's not even as being Harrison Ford. You know, Harrison Ford's on screen and he says, he's supposed to say, "I love you" back. And he says, "I know." And it becomes epic. You know, it's an iconic
There's so
thing.
much merchandise because of it. There's so many people who say it to this day. Like I
So-
said it to Tori. So like it's so iconic that it's mesmerizing that he did something that will live forever.
I
Yeah.
did. want to pull up like Drew. I don't want you to feel like we're all just piling against your opinion. I do get what you're saying, particularly like George is obviously obviously before the whole Disney thing happened, he was obviously so passionate about his own work and how that was portrayed and how that was viewed. And it isn't just the hand shot first. Like there's an entire Wikipedia page dedicated to every single change that he made across all 6 movies. And I cannot imagine how difficult it must have been for him to put that down and step away and go, I can't change it anymore. I can't correct it. And I know that he was also partly kind of tired and wanted to put it down anyway and wanted to retire and all of that kind of stuff. But man, to be so dedicated to the singular cause of making these exactly how I'm a fine artist as well. I love film and video work and installation, and I understand how difficult and frustrating it is to see it in your head, know exactly what it's supposed to look like, and then trying to translate that to the outside world is impossible. That's why we practice art. That's why art exists. That's the purpose of it.
Well, earlier in the chat, Nick brought up a very good thing about Da Vinci. He said artists never finish this abandoned. And that's true because you just get to a point like there's nothing. Sometimes you can overwork art and make it ugly because you are trying to put your vision onto this piece of paper or onto this film or onto this audio. It's impossible. It's impossible to ever put that from your brain because your brain is just it's different than what it can look like, what your vision is. So sometimes you have to let go. And then sometimes you're just George and you have the money and you have the fame and you say, I can go back and do whatever I want. And then you do it. And to some people, it was messed up. To other people, it was like, this is way better than the originals. It just depends on the fans look at that art. And that's basically all that it boils down to. What I want to know is how would you guys have done it differently? Like, what would you have done differently if it was you? If you were George Lucas, what would you have done differently?
I would have left it.
Drew,
Hands down, I would have just left it.
Well, the thing I was going to say is, like, there should be no more changes to the original 6 films. Those are George's story. Like, and I would never want to see anyone other than the director of a given film make any changes to that film.
Oh, of course.
You know, like, I wouldn't want to see anyone but Gareth Edwards make additions to Rogue One or Rian Johnson for Last Jedi, because those are their stories. And I think, that's just something that's really did come to light in the last year with Justice League and all that. It's a director's story, an artist's story is sacred to them, and it should be how they envision it. So I do agree with the changes that George made. I do agree with them, not necessarily from a fan's perspective, but as an artist, I think you have to
yes.
respect that.
What would I do differently? I don't know. Probably like CJ. I don't think I would change very much. Personally, I've seen because it's available. It's not available to stream, but it's available if you download it and look for it in places. The actual original 1977 release. I love it. I think it's beautiful exactly where it stands. I think it tells the stories. Also, it's really important to remember that a lot of that wasn't George. A lot of that was George's wife. She was the one who came in and went, actually, this doesn't work. This story's too long. This section's not right. The music doesn't work here. She's responsible for the flow that we now know as the original trilogy. It's partly why they divorced and separated, because it got really messy. What do you guys think? Because I'm a bit stumped.
I mean, I would have preferred it to be the same way. To have Honshu first, but if you're really insistent on changing it, and that's something that you really want to do, then do it in such a way that maintains Han Solo's character.
Yes.
Honestly, Garrison, when you pulled up that Billy the Kid thing from Young Guns and from the stories that we've heard about Billy the Kid, I think if you were to be able to change it like that in such a drastic scene kind of way, I would like it to see it that way. Like he's sitting at the bar, Greedo walks up to him. Somehow Greedo's tricked because Han Solo is really good with his words. He somehow gets Greedo's blaster and is just looking at it and takes the blast charge out of the magazine well and just messes with it to the point where it's like, oh no, and then Han's is like, ha ha ha, gotcha. Like, I think.
Well, you got to think about
that
it
would be great.
In a certain sense. That's what it is in the original, because Greedo got him at gunpoint. He sat there. He's messed up. He can't really do anything, and Greedo's sitting there talking, and Han is talking. He puts his hand up behind his head. He's clicking out the belt. He's distracting him by moving him into things that he says. And then he says, over my dead body. And Greedo's like, well, we can handle that. And bow, he shoots him. Basically, that's what Han was good at, distracting. If you go back to the Phantom Menace, he's distracting. When you go back to, when you look at the way that Harrison Ford played Han Solo, he used body movements. He used certain things to distract Greedo, and then bow. So it's the same basic concept as Billy the Kid in the original. So he did the exact same thing that Billy the Kid did. He just did it in another way. He used distractions. It's just like in martial arts, you distract your person by raising your hands up when they got a gun in front of you, and then you move and grab the gun and push it away. It's the same basic concept. It's all about distraction, getting a person's eyes to move somewhere different so they're not seeing what you're doing. So in the original, it is basically that. So what do you think, Drew, on what would you do differently if you really had? If you was George Lucas, what would you have done differently? Or would you have just left it the way that he actually did it?
Well, as a fan, I would leave it, as I said before, as a fan, I'd leave it as it was in 77. But as an artist, I support George's creative decisions to have the final, fully realized version, the version that he intends. And that changes as time goes on.
That's fair.
How would y'all feel if like somebody in like 20 years, like George dies and some other director 20 years later, or some other storyteller redoes Star Wars?
Nope.
How would that make y'all feel?
Upset.
Redoes it as in like another special edition or like a reboot?
Like a redo, like not change the story, but get all new actors, and get everything, and just redo
like
the
an
whole
update. An update.
Yeah.
like redo the whole new film.
A reboot.
Highly depends.
I wouldn't.
I think it
touch
highly depends.
I couldn't tolerate somebody touching it. I would lose my mind.
What if it was actually better?
It's already been altered. It's already been changed. He's done it 3 times. Leave George's work alone. Go screw up somebody else's.
But what if they do it and it's actually better?
Okay.
You're like, holy crap, this is so good. What happened?
If George
my
goes,
thing is
changing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in Clone Wars, that all George did, and going in and changing it would just be disrespectful to George Lucas himself, the maker himself, the guy that gave us everything that we love today. And I would just be beyond mad.
I partially disagree with that, because George Lucas is already okay with the hundreds of books coming out. You know what I mean? He didn't release Star Wars to be like, this is my baby, nobody ever talk about it. He released it knowing that people would want to adapt it. People would want to get into the universe and write their own stories. I feel like George Lucas
That's why he created
where everybody can appreciate it. Yeah.
He encouraged it. He encouraged people using his ideas.
Right.
George,
and with for like a reboot, you know how hard people analyze the sequels and the prequels, like how intensely people scrutinize them. Literally, the reboot would have to be 10 out of 10, absolutely flawless for people to be okay with it, and even then, it would probably get some backlash.
Oh, it's going to get backlash.
And what has Lightsaber Radio taught us? There's no such thing as a 10 out of 10, apparently.
Exactly.
What do you drill into me every week when we rate Boba Fett out of Baby Yodas? There's such thing as a 10 out of 10.
That's perfection, and that's just, I don't think anybody could do perfection. George didn't even do perfection because he made mistakes. That's why he went back and changed it, and he wanted to add things and take things away and do stuff because it wasn't perfection in his eyes. So we might love it and say, oh, it's the greatest thing ever, but at the same time, it's not perfect, and it's because that's why George changed it, because he didn't see perfection. So it's all in the eye of the beholder. So we look at things like we all have different opinions on each subject that we talk about weekly. We all have different opinions and we all look at things differently. That's why there can't be perfection, because perfection, everybody would have to agree the same thing.
Real quick, hey, red comment. Oh, Charlie,
Jinx.
we both had it. Okay, cool.
Kyle.
Yes, Dylan. Also, we do not talk about Mara Jade.
No, we don't.
I don't care if
it gives George a headache.
I don't care if George Lucas is not there and is not part of the Disney franchise and the ownership. We still don't talk about it.
I do. Don't. I want Mara Jade. I want a whole series on Mara Jade. I think Mara Jade is awesome.
Him, stop.
Come on, Mara Jade. She was the Emperor's hand, man. She was his hand. She was hard. The Yuuzhan Vong would have won if it wasn't for her, man. Come on, what are you talking about?
Jade, he's going to buy it back. The second he sees Mara Jade in anything,
he don't have enough money to buy it back.
I'm wrangling all of it. Sit down, shut up. Kyle, what's our what if this week?
See, and the crazy thing is, I swear sometimes y'all can read my mind, because that was the question for the what if question this week. What if Disney created a Mara Jade trilogy?
Ooh.
No!
Yes. Okay. Now, if we're talking like Bryce Dallas Howard, whole trilogy, Mara Jade, let's go. Give me action. Give me romance. Give me forbidden feelings. Give me bright red hair. Give me purple lightsabers. Give it to me all right this very second. I want to see her. I want to see her out in the galaxy. I want to see her messing with. Yes.
You would have to. For me to be okay with it, I think you'd have to legit just get rid of the sequels. Like, say the sequels are their own thing and start over. I don't think they fit together.
I'm gonna just say it now. If you did that, it's a multiverse situation.
Do not do that to Star Wars. Please don't give the multiverse.
Well, it wouldn't.
I mean, the multiverse exists in the Lego.
I understand a lot of people like. Sorry,
Kyle. What is it in Rebels? Is it the world between worlds or whatever? In Rebels,
yeah.
It'd have to be something like you'd have to explain it like that.
Wait, what did they call it? I don't remember what they called it.
There's a problem I always have with the multiverse idea. I know a lot of people are totally pumped for a multiverse, but I don't like the multiverse because it allows the opportunity for anything and everything to happen. Part of what makes a story so good and cohesive is that there's logic applied to everything. That there's still a logic and that there's still rules to follow. It might not be the same rules as our universe and like the same science. There's some kind of rules and some kind of cohesive thing that brings the whole world together, so that there's certain things that can and can't happen. When you take that out and put a multiverse, it's like anything and everything can happen. And when anything and everything can happen, nothing is exciting or shocking anymore.
Well, you got to think about it like,
you know what I mean?
Garrison, we're already in that right now. I mean, the Book of Boba Fett is a multiverse. It's basically John and Kathleen Kennedy and Dave. Only thing they're doing is staying within a canon timeline. But all this is EU. All of this stuff that we're getting right now is EU because it's not George. George based canon on, this is what canon is, the 6 films and the first 6 seasons of the Clone Wars. That's all this canon. Everything outside of that is not canon. Anything that George has not touched is canon or is EU. So we are actually living in the multiverse right now in Legends. This is all Legends stuff. Mandalorian, this is a multiverse. They're just sticking within the canon timeline. But this is not, basically, this is not George. So when you look at it like that, we're living in the thing. They're bringing in stuff from EU all the time. They're bringing in Thrawn, that's EU. They're bringing in Revan, that's EU. They're bringing in Bane, that's EU. These are all things that is technically not canon. So we're living in a multiverse right now. We wouldn't have none of the wonderful Star Wars we have right now if there wasn't a multiverse. The whole sequel trilogy is the whole multiverse. It don't even literally fit with the other part of the movie.
The Palpatine situation, that is literally what if Palpatine survives? Literally nobody wanted Palpatine back. Hands down, nobody.
2 seconds and there's absolute chaos. What is going on?
That's just
going on that George Lucas claimed, which he did. He claimed that anything that he has not created is technically expanded universe.
Well, basically, he said in a comment with Time Magazine that if it says based on, it's not canon. And that's everything that's been made past the 6 seasons and the 6 seasons of the Clone Wars and his 6 movies. If it says based on, and you go look at every movie this came out, every TV show, it says based on. Based on means it's EU, it's somebody else's thoughts. It's not original canon thoughts. Even if they're following the timeline, that's their choice to follow the timeline. They don't have to.
I will admit that Filoni Favreau combo have worked really hard to keep it as close to the pure original timeline as they also, I don't know if you guys know this, they also have access to George's notes. They have access to everything that man has ever written about stuff, ever. And he wrote reams and reams and reams. He wrote like 40 pages on Wookiee holiday culture.
I want it. I would read it all with no hesitation.
But he did it. So, yes, Carl, you have a point, but in the same breath, no. But also, yeah, it's sticky. It's one of those. We did chew this over quite thoroughly last week as well.
It just causes you
Grandma Palpatine alone.
it makes you think that we're already in the sense of a multiverse, and I have a very strong feeling that Disney is going to be bringing a lot. Dave himself has says he loves the EU. So, as him being one of the head writers, and Disney told him back in 2017 that you can do whatever you want. You can create new characters. That's how we got Mando. That's how we got Grogu. These are all brand new characters. They can get any character, create any character, or draw from anywhere within Star Wars universe, not just canon universe or Legends universe. They can draw from anywhere that they want. We bash Kathleen Kennedy, but Kathleen Kennedy made a statement that they're going to try to stick to the canon timeline back on CNN. So, in an article or in an interview she did with them. So they're the ones that are doing that. They don't have to, though. The other writers and everybody, they can write whatever they want. Disney just wants to make money. So we are not in a sense of, we're basically in a multiverse now. They're bringing in new characters and they're sticking with the timeline, but it's still not the universe that George was going to create in the original series. It's not the sequel is not what he wrote down, or not the prequel trilogy or the sequel trilogy was not what he wrote down. They completely changed it. So we don't know. There might have been a Mara Jade. He might have wrote a Mara Jade. He just got mad that everybody else was bringing it up, and this was something that he wanted to do. We don't know. We don't know what's in that man's mind. We have no idea.
I would pay so much money to understand his mind, though.
I would do anything to be inside George's head just for a little while, just to see what it's like. I would
honestly give anything in the world and everything that I have, except for, the girlfriend and the kids, to understand this man's mind and where he was going with this before he sold it to Disney. Honestly, because I feel like we were going to have to wait like we did for... What?
Oh, I was like, I don't think he can.
But I would love to know what he was going to do next before he sold it to Disney. I would love to see that story. I really would.
Well, in multiple interviews, he said he wasn't going to make this sequel. He had it written down. He had all 3 of the scripts written down, but he wasn't going to make it. He was going to leave Star Wars where it was at. Drew, what do you think? How would you do a Mara Jade story? If you was in a what if world, how would you do it?
Well, I did see one thing in the chat, just like you do a Mara Jade story, and then that sort of leads into the old man Luke that we see in the sequel films. And I think that's really interesting. I really hope that, because it seems like we are going to be seeing a lot more of Luke Skywalker in these Mandoverse shows than I thought that we were going to. I thought he would have like 1 or 2 appearances in Mando and that's it. But, it seems like, we're already starting to see some of his hubris come in with Grogu's choice. Like, we're already starting to see some of that show up. And I think a Mara Jade series would lead into the sequel storylines very well. So, but maybe not a trilogy. I'm kind of jaded
like
on
a
trilogies. Solo film or a Disney Plus series. I don't think we're going to see a trilogy from Star Wars ever again. I
Well,
don't
Ryan
want to.
Johnson's still banging on about his trilogy, so
I don't think
man
they're going to do a
lies.
trilogy.
I want to know what Ryan
lies.
because nobody knows about this except for Ryan Johnson and the people he's told.
That's it. No one
That's
knows
it.
about it except
Disney's
Ryan.
like, yo, bro, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, yeah, you guys told me this like a long time ago. Don't you remember? It's like that story where you make it up and you bring friends in, and the friends are like, dude, this didn't happen. Yeah, I did,
Here's
bro.
the
You were there. You
contract.
did this, and you were wearing this shirt. That's all that was.
Here's the contract I wrote, and it's literally on like the back of a napkin in like wax crayon. Just
What if they came
A
out with
Texas
like
Roadhouse
Star Wars.
napkin with a red crayon.
what if they came out with like a Mara J movie, her and Luke get married and then they have a kid, but instead of they reverse it. Like instead of since Ben is now Han and Leia's son, they name their son Anakin.
I hate that.
Hold on.
Kyle.
So
I'm really honest with you. Like,
concept.
get that out.
The biggest concept I agree with that comment. I think Nick's the one that said that whole that's why we get old man Luke and all that. What if Kylo becomes Mara Jade's apprentice? They go on like a kind of a diplomatic thing, and Kylo doesn't or Ben doesn't do what Mara Jade says, and it gets Mara Jade killed. And that's why there's so much disdain towards and that's why like Snoke gets like that's how you can introduce Snoke and how he had that influence and all this stuff. And the next thing you know, boom. Luke's like, you know what? You killed my wife. Now you turn into the dark side. You're done.
But then how would that fit within the canon of the sequel films? Like you think that would have at least been mentioned. And I understand the whole like it's a prequel. It wasn't thought of at the time, but
that's
something that huge would have had to have been discussed. You know?
Well, I mean, if George can change 1 through 6, I'm pretty sure JJ can do the changing in those little subtle details.
That is true. That is true.
I wouldn't want to see that though. I would be like, "What are y'all doing, man? I ain't like the first ones. Why are you remaking them again? You redoing them and adding stuff to make it worse?"
Though, what if they change it and it makes it better?
I don't think Disney can make things better. I don't think that they have to.
Speaking of Disney making things better, I am gently going to segue us into news and rumors because I've got some really exciting stuff to talk about this week. Hell yes! Oh my god. First big thing, ladies and gentlemen, it has been accidentally leaked and also completely confirmed that the Kenobi series is coming out on May the 4th, 2022. Hell yes, let's go.
Be at Disneyland.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, it's coming out on May the 4th?
A Disney employee leaked the release date for Kenobi. He tweeted saying, "Our very own Obi-Wan will be saying hello there on Disney Plus May 2022."
Yeah, but that don't mean he's going to be there. He could be.
They've forced it to become. I'm not wrong. I did my research. I'm gonna be
on the road going to Disneyland for my daughter's birthday. I can't even watch it. I'm gonna be driving. You guys, this is gonna drive me crazy. That means it's a Wednesday, though. That means it's going to be another Wednesday episode.
Yeah, I think that's what they're doing now.
Yeah, it is on a Wednesday.
After Loki did so well on Wednesdays, they're moving away from Fridays.
Well.
It really sucks that, it really sucks that they're doing it on Wednesday because that means I got to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch it. And that's just, this has been putting some unnecessary pressure on my old body. I'm old, guys.
To also support the theory that this tweet was correct and not actually supposed to be made public, the tweet was deleted and the account made private almost instantly.
But then the Hollywood Reporter confirmed that.
Yes.
And they're super, super reliable. Like that's just, like something from the Hollywood Reporter is essentially a Disney confirmation.
Yes, that's very much how I take it. So yes, May 4th, guys. May 4th. Chuck Wendig, you're nervous.
Oh yeah,
I'm nervous.
Oh yeah.
Because if they screw up Kenobi, then if they make Kenobi like they're making Book of Boba Fett, this is gonna be it's gonna be violent.
There's gonna be a lot of violence.
I'm quitting.
A lot of rioting.
I think Star Wars fans, there's like, if you're an older Star Wars fan, you're not gonna be very happy.
Here's what
there's only so much my heart can take.
About Kenobi is like look at 2 episodes of Mandalorian season 1. Look at chapter 3, the Sin, and chapter 7, the Reckoning, because Deborah Chow, who directed those 2, is directing this entire series. So if you liked those 2 episodes, there's a better chance that you are going to enjoy this show.
Well,
she did a great job with those 2 episodes.
And this is something else that we all have to understand. We have to understand that there's going to be, and I think all Star Wars fans need to understand this. This is the story of him watching over Luke on Tatooine. So there's going to be a lot. It's not going to be fast-paced, action-based storyline here because they're talking about him being sorrowful of what happened to Anakin and him trying to talk to and trying to learn the Force techniques that Yoda taught him and stuff like that. So this is going to be a slower, more emotional ride than it is going to be action-based, I think. That's my opinion.
I think
like Logan.
Being a slow, boring show isn't what's going to make it a bad show. It'll still be good if it's slow or boring. You know what I mean? I think making a bad show would be ruining the character that we know, I think. So I wouldn't care if it was slow or it wasn't as exciting as everyone's wanting. It just needs to fit with the character that everybody knows.
It has to have a story. This one has to have a story. The Book of Boba Fett's been kind of jumping around and the story's been all over the place. Yeah. The story hasn't been very, coherent. There's a story there, but you kind of got to look in the background for the story. This is more of the Kenobi series has to have a good storyline because if it's all jumpy and weird, it's just going to not make sense. And I don't think that Star Wars fans want to see that. I think Star Wars fans want to see a good storyline, a good coherent what happened to Obi-Wan and Luke during this time. Because we know there got to be some action scenes because there got to be, you got the whole Empire looking for Jedis and all this stuff. There's going to be some action, but I just don't think it's going to be a lot. I think it's going to be more of finding out Obi-Wan from the point of when they get to Tatooine and he drops off Luke to the point where Luke comes back and meet him. And I think there's going to be probably 3 seasons that they show that in, and it's going to move in the direction. Some of the things that he has to deal with is being, a hermit and, dealing with all these emotions that he's having and trying to be a better Jedi at the same time, not being able to be a Jedi. That's what I really think the story. And I think it's going to be a good story. I just hope that that's what they're doing. If that's what they do.
I have to agree with what Dylan said. I really hope they draw a lot from John Miller's Kenobi book. I really do. Yeah. If they do, and they bring in like the comic series part where Black Chrysanthemum is involved, because obviously we know that Kenobi fought him as Black Chrysanthemum was on the verge of killing Uncle Owen. I honestly, with just the subtle add-ins, but still telling that Kenobi is here to try to learn how to be one with the Force fully and be able to communicate with Qui-Gon and to learn by himself in exile, on top of trying to keep an eye on Luke and make sure everything's good. I know we may have some scenes with young Leia that might be a filler episode where it's like, hey, this is what Obi's doing watching over Luke, but I feel like it's going to pan away and be like, hey, this is what Leia's doing over here on Alderaan with the Organa family and how she's kind of
I certainly hope so.
I think it would make sense due to the fact that we're going to know. I mean, there's 8 episodes of Book of Boba Fett, and we got 2 episodes of just Mandalorian. Like, it was just straight Mando.
There's 7 confirmed episodes. I think there's going to be 8. I think that they're going to. That's their big surprise. That's their big reveal is an extra episode that they're not telling us about.
I hope so. I mean, like, if this show was like 10, 11, 12 episodes, because Andor's 12, if then I'd be less nervous about this
the outcome.
I'm both super excited for and dreading this finale on Wednesday morning. I have no idea what they're going to do, how they're going to wrap it all up in one episode.
We shall see. I've got some more exciting news. Bryce Dallas Howard is confirmed to be taking on her own Star Wars project. That has been officially confirmed. There are no details on whether it's a film or a TV show. We just know that she's been given something.
Well,
when was this?
I think with how she's been doing with TV shows, I think she's going to be great.
Yeah.
I just hope she stars in it because she's fine.
Because you got to think all the other
I don't even
directors
care
were
what
in
it's
the
about. I just want to
Mandalorian.
watch her.
Garrison, this bit of news is just for you. Taken from Giant Freaking Robot, who have turned out to be an extremely reliable source over the last couple of months. Star Wars Rogue One star Felicity Jones is in talks for a Jyn Erso return.
Yeah, I seen that.
For some stuff before Rogue One to kind of fill in some of those
Okay.
gaps about her backstory.
Yeah, he's so
Okay.
happy.
Well,
Look at that.
hey.
There's a smile on
No,
his face.
I liked Rogue One. Rogue One was good. Drew agrees with me. Rogue One was a good movie, dude.
What's up,
Go
Drew?
ahead, Drew.
Where are you seeing anything about Bryce Dallas Howard? Because I'm all in. I'm not seeing anything about that.
Charlie,
As she's
of
killed her
course,
mic
as she clicked off.
Yeah, she's like, nah, you ain't gonna question my sources. We're gonna try to talk about something else.
No, it's just I love that idea, and I fully agree with it. I'm just wondering where, like when this.
Charlie, where did you
You
find that
started
Bryce Dallas Howard information from?
You guys
The
talk
robot
amongst
has
yourselves.
something
Give me a
She's in
second.
talks.
Okay, well, I'll go into some news.
Yeah, go
There
ahead.
is people on MSN brought up this thing. There's this guy called the Mascalorian, and he is literally dressing up as the Mandalorian. He's walking around giving out masks to help people protect themselves against COVID-19. And I thought that was just awesome. Like, dude, this dude is
great.
literally dressing up like the Mandalorian, passing out masks. That is so cool.
I love that.
That is like that's where the fandom needs to be at. That's the Star Wars fans needs to work together and bring Star Wars to the world more than some of the things that we just do. I think there's more that we can all do, and this guy is really doing it. He's getting out there, and I couldn't find what his actual name was. They didn't say what his name was. Or at least where I could
It's
find
not
it.
Pedro Pascal.
Nah, it's just some guy.
How dare he not do this?
Rude.
It just says, while he may look similar to a Star Wars character known as the Mandalorian, the bounty hunter tasked with protecting young creatures named Grogu, this Mascalorian has a very different purpose, protecting people from COVID-19.
He goes
And he's
around.
literally,
doing
wait a
face
minute.
tats, I love it.
Matt Adams, 43-year-old filmmaker Matt Adams, who portrays the Mascalorian, told the Washington Post of his mission. Basically, he's just trying to protect all the younglings or the young DeLoreans against COVID-19. And I think that is so awesome that he is doing that. Matt, you're dope.
Damn straight.
That's
Way to go,
dope.
Matt.
Chris, you are 100% correct. The UK has dropped all of its mask mandates, but the majority of the general public are still wearing them. A lot of supermarkets request that we still wear them. It's not stopped for some people, and that's great. That's your choice. But for the majority of us, it's still masks everywhere, which I'm fine with. In response, Drew, the Bryce Dallas Howard story came from Giant Freaking Robot as well.
Okay.
That's where I get quite a lot of my sources.
Another thing that popped up, I guess that there is a like super duper cult favoriting to the Black Chrysanthemum. There's a lot. He has jumped up in the polls. This was done by Game Radar. His polls have jumped up to make him. He's in like the top 10 now of
Nice.
cult favorite characters for Star Wars.
Nice.
So that's kind
Nice.
of dope.
He needs his own series, but all I know is if he gets his own series, it's going to be dark. It's going to be
gonna
very,
be
very
so
dark.
I would love to hear his
Christoph-
backstory in a live action. I think that would be awesome to hear his whole from starting off as like little chrysanthemum and then moving forward to becoming this giant killing
Warrior, gladiator.
I think that would be a dope series.
Raging.
I think they could action pack the hell out of that series. And I'm the action guy. I love to see action. That just nothing but action. Just him like being like 3 years old, ripping people's other Wookiees' arms off and like little frogs' arms off or something. I think that would be so dope.
There are baby Wookiees in the holiday special. We do not speak about it. They are disgusting. Something very suspicious happened on the day that the Book of Boba Fett episode aired. So people are speculating that in the Order 66 scene, when the three Jedi are fighting against the 501st, on the walls you can see Barriss Offee's symbol, the diamonds, the squares that are in a diamond shape. On the same day that episode aired, the Wikipedia entry for Barriss Offee's symbol, like logo, was deleted. And it seems to be to prevent people from looking up what that symbol means / the story behind it. Very, very bizarre. They happened almost simultaneously. Like when people, as soon as Twitter started recognizing what the symbol on the wall was, the Wikipedia article completely vanished.
What if Barris is the one that rescued Grogu?
This is what people seem to be thinking. The theory is that it's Barris. It's not the Jedi Temple. He's in Barris's like cell quarters, and she protects him and takes him away and saves him.
That would be
because the 501st opens up to shoot her. She uses the force, grabs Grogu, and gets. That would be a good scene. I would love that.
Maybe
Barris actually went back to the light side. She had time sitting in her cell to and maybe, hey man, they wiped Revan's mind. You know, I'm pretty sure that they could fix her to get her to go back to the light side. Why would she save him? She don't care about him. She cares about power if she's on the dark side.
She takes him to have a new apprentice to try to overthrow Palpatine and Vader. Ha! There's a point.
And then Grogu just happens to escape. That don't make
Barris gets hunted by the not the Night Sisters, but the now I'm forgetting what they are.
The Inquisitors.
Yes, gets killed, and they don't know about Grogu. Thank you, Charlie. She's all excited over there about it. But she gets killed by the Inquisitors because Vader finds out she survives. And then they don't know anything about Grogu because Grogu's like on a ship, and then that's how those bounty hunters get him.
Why would Grogu be down there with? Why would Grogu be down there with her anyway? Like, why would they have Grogu imprisoned in a cell? You know what I'm saying? Down there in the prison wing of the Jedi Temple.
Well, I think that was a close quarters. The cell room, if you watch like Clone Wars and stuff, it's a very close quarter area where you can use your lightsaber and you can literally pick off. That's why there's only 4 or 5 of them in that scene. You can't flood 501st soldiers in that hallway. They are accurate in numbers. They suck as individuals. They all have to be like Captain Rex to me.
Please stop.
Well, them are clones. Remember, them ain't stormtroopers. Them are clones.
No, they're clones. Darice, out here with Grogu will turn evil. Stop supporting Kyle's theory that he's going to become a tiny little Sith Lord. No. Stop encouraging him.
He's going to become a tiny little Sith. No. Hell Grogu. Hell Darth Grogu.
Okay.
Darth Snacks.
So I got...
you have news?
On that, no. On that Wikipedia thing. Okay, first, I don't think it matters who saved Grogu. I don't think that matters to the story. I want that to remain a mystery.
That would be a good
Second thing is that Wikipedia is not affiliated with Lucasfilm.
No.
So, I mean, yeah, there are certain to be a few Wikipedia editors who do have contacts at Lucasfilm, but I don't necessarily think that is a very suspicious thing that happened. I don't think it has anything of merit attached to it.
I'm just hyping.
Yeah,
I'm not sat here trying to like peddle Star Wars conspiracy theories that Wikipedia are in on everything. No. My last little bit of news on our list is preparations for Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim for this year have finally started. Windows for buying your tickets is unfortunately closed, but I'm so excited to cover the whole thing. 1 year I will go. 1 year I will go.
Yes.
It's on the bucket list.
Anybody else got anything?
Nope, there's no new toy drops. There's nothing really major.
Toys and goodies. Drew, I can see your little collection on your shelf.
Yes.
Are you a fan of? Are you Black Series? Are we talking like standard size?
Black Series.
Yeah, Black Series. Yeah. Black Series.
I had one. Go ahead.
I've been collecting Black Series for about a year and a half now. I think about a year and a half.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
CJ is also a huge Black Series fan.
I was able to get the Cad Bane about a year ago, but I'm sure that they're all now like completely.
Isn't that the way? Isn't it the worst?
I had one.
Everything's hard to find.
I had one more piece of news. So I guess on the High Republic series, they're actually this was reported by Desert News, but they are reporting that the way that the High Republic series is going to go, it's going to go in the George Lucas format. So the first phase is set like 300 years before the time of the time of Phantom Menace, and then it's like 100 years before the Phantom Menace. Then the second phase is 150 years before the phase before the Phantom Menace, and then the third series will be coming after that. So probably like 50 years. So they're actually following the format that George used. Give you the middle or the
give you the
go
middle
back and
bit
forth,
first
whatever.
before-
However, you know how to do that. He did 4, 5, and 6, and then he did 1, 2, and 3. So they're doing it sort of like that.
Nice.
Which was pretty cool. Which I just finished reading. What was the last one that I just read? Or actually, let me rephrase that because I didn't read it. I listened to it.
I was like, you listen.
correct
You listen
yourself.
to it. What you talking about?
What was it? Which one was it? Hold on. I'm sorry. I should have been prepared. I'm never prepared.
It's not good enough.
Crash Point Tower, and yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it. I kind of like the High Republic series for being a book person. That's listen to almost or read or listen because some of them I read, but ever since I found out about the books and just how amazing the books is, but I'm pretty impressed with the High Republic. They got a lot of action going on in the High Republic books.
Gorgeous.
I'm an action guy.
The artwork, stunning.
They have a lot of action in their books. I like
True.
it.
Yes.
Are you ready? Are you ready to be quizzed within an inch of your life?
Yes.
I'm
Let's
still
go.
not
Well,
ready.
now, you insufferable want rats, it's time for Charlie's impossible quiz.
The theme of this quiz is nobody knows the answers to any of this stuff.
Nobody knows the
I
answer.
have never
Random
prepared for these
BS.
quizzes, and I have been here for 6 episodes, 37
40.
episodes. We're
Yeah.
in the 40s.
This is
my bad,
40.
40.
It's
40 episodes,
Oh my
and I
God,
still
happy
don't know what the
40
hell I'm doing.
episodes, guys. Happy 40 episodes. Drew, the rules are stick your hand up if you know the answer, and if I see you, I'll say your name, and then you give me your answer.
Drew, the real rules is just blurt out
No,
answers
no,
that you
no,
think that you
no,
know
that's
and put in the
that's
comments.
Kyle's
How
rule.
points for blurting.
Question number 1. So by now, we all know that Michael Jackson wanted to play Jar Jar Binks. We are aware that he auditioned, there were conversations, there were contracts written. Why did Lucas and Michael Jackson fall out with each other over that role? What was the reason it never ended up happening? CJ?
Creative differences between Michael Jackson and George Lucas.
No, there's a specific reason.
Oh, I don't know then.
Michael Jackson was molesting kids.
No.
Oh.
No, nobody any guesses. So the reason it all fell to pieces is Michael Jackson wanted to play Jar Jar in full prosthetics. And
That was
George wanted full CGI. And I am horrified at the concept of Michael Jackson in Jar Jar Binks prosthetics. That is a combination of images I don't need in my head.
Stilts. He's in stilts.
Yep, still.
Because he wasn't a tall man. He was not tall.
What if he
this
was
Michael
dancing?
Jackson? So this would have been Michael Jackson after the plastic surgery, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
He
no.
could-
Yeah, no.
All we know,
No.
in episode 2, Jar Jar would have been much more excited to see Annie again. Let's just say that.
Annie, are you okay?
Annie, are you okay? I should not have started the quiz with this question. Good God.
They would have been playing that song in the background.
It's just in like jizz music form, but it's that song.
Yeah. Question number 2.
I'm gonna make that. I'm about to make that. I'm about to make that song with I'm gonna get the lyrics. Michael saying that. I'm gonna put it to the Star Wars beat. I'm gonna put it to a Star Wars beat. Watch. I'm gonna put it on TikTok and Instagram. That's gonna be crazy.
You know, sometimes people just shouldn't have the knowledge of how to do things on computers. Kyle, you are a prime example of this. Just
Well,
Get
really?
them.
You're really talking about Kyle? Garrison found that Michael Jackson Jar Jar Binks photo.
no. Curse.
Hey, that was a good
That was a
thumbnail.
great photo, though.
That was-
Question number 2, you absolute maniacs. What is the name of the Wookiee subspecies first mentioned in the Old Republic game?
It's got to do with games. I have no idea.
A subspecies?
Subspecies of Wookiees mentioned in
The
the
only
Old Republic
subspecies
game.
I can think of are Ewoks.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Ewoks.
I don't know.
No?
No idea. I have
Jury
no
guesses
idea.
no.
No.
The answer is silverbacks.
Silverback.
Silverback Wookiees?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What,
That's
gorillas?
Black Chrysanthemum. He's got to be one. Come on.
Yeah. Maybe he is. Maybe that's
Probably.
it. Question number 3. We all know that jizz is the famous musical genre created for Star Wars, but which of these is not an in-universe musical genre? I'm going to read you a list. One of these is the odd one out. Glitz, Alba-Ra, Leap Jump, or Sparkle Bop? CJ?
Sparkle Bop.
Nope.
Ah.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. That's
Yeah,
all I wanted
right.
to say. I'm
Which of
stupid.
these is not? Drew?
Let's say, is it leap jump?
No.
Wow. Oh,
Blitz
that
or
only leaves
something.
2.
No.
What's one?
Was it
No.
the second one?
Alba-Ra is the odd one out. Alba-Ra is a genre of music from Star Trek. Glitz,
Oh.
Leap
I would have
Jump,
said
and
Harry
Sparkle
Potter.
Bop.
That sounds like some Harry Potter crap.
Glitz, Leap Jump, and Sparkle Bop are
Alba-Ra!
in universe Star Wars music genres. Horrific.
Yikes.
Question number 4. This is going to be a who can get your hand up fastest. What's the name of the Star Wars alphabet?
Oh, I don't know.
Cut. Drew?
Arabesh.
Yes, congratulations.
Oh, we should all know that. What? I knew that.
all of you should
I
know
raised
that.
my hand.
I know you did. I saw.
He
I've
beat
got
me.
a friend. I've got a friend who, like, in the early days of COVID, he memorized the entire alphabet
No, he
of
didn't.
Arabesh. Yeah, he did. He did.
We need to have him on the show just so he can sit back
We
and,
do.
and
Can you-
tell us what everything is so
Yeah,
we
well-
can figure it out.
We need to get
I'll
him and then
get Yvonne on the podcast.
yeah, get him and then get the 1313 guys to do their Tuscan.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Question number 4. Oh, question number 5 even. Tuscan Raiders are also called Sand People or simply Tuscans. However, what is the name for a Tuscan child?
Brat.
Brat.
The little kid that Boba should have
child.
punched in the face.
Give me that water. No one any guesses. See, I wrote these Tuscan questions
A
in for
youngling?
Tuscan Radio.
Yeah.
That seems like a personal
No.
attack other than
The
It
name
is.
it is a personal attack, straight up. You don't come on LightSaber Radio to make friends. You come on LightSaber Radio to fight.
It's our
No.
That's why it's lightsaber.
A cub.
The name for a Tuscan child is an Uliar.
Oh, Chris
Yeah.
put it up. Chris put it up
Yeah.
before you said it. Yeah.
that
Ain't
was
that what
not.
you just said?
He said it in Tuscan, okay? He just said it in Tuscan, that's all.
Don't swear at me in Tuscan, Chris. I've talked to you about this. It's very rude. Question number 6. Which Star Wars actor attended the last ever beheading via guillotine in Paris in 1977? Garrison?
The guy who plays Dooku. Flip. What's his name? Hold on. I'll get it.
Oh, Christopher Lee.
Fuck.
CJ, you can have the point. It's Christopher Lee.
I used to
Yeah,
think, I'm like, it's not
I was-
Walken. I was about to say
I
Christopher
was
Walken,
just
and I was like,
there.
no, it's Lee.
Yeah, all the
I
way back
know
in
that.
the year that Star Wars was released, Christopher Lee would stood in the courtyard in a Paris square watching somebody get beheaded by guillotine for the last time.
You know,
They don't do that no more.
He did. He was also in the
I want to go
military,
see
so
that. Why
like,
can't I'm gonna get a
True
hold of
story.
I want to
True,
get a
what
hold
we
of the
did
French consulate and see if they can do another one just so I could come watch it. I want to see
My-
somebody's head get chopped off. That would be awesome.
Kyle, let the man
My-
speak.
my family was actually like just in Paris, and when we like saw that thing about like the last beheading was in 1977, the first thing I thought was, oh, that's the same year Star Wars came out.
Yep.
That's
That's
the first thing I
awesome.
thought of.
The irony is beautiful. The absolutely
By
stunning.
knowing that Count Dooku was there.
I know Dooku was also very appropriate considering his character and all. You know,
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I think Christopher Lee was also in the military, so that probably didn't even phase him. He was like,
He-
how neat.
Chris,
Cool.
he was already method acting way back then. 100%. Question number 7. Can you list the raison d'être, also known as the 6 actions, which are a central tenet of Mandalorian life? No,
No.
is the answer apparently.
No.
What are 6 most essential things to being a Mandalorian? You can have a guess, and I'll see if you're
okay.
right.
Wearing
CJ?
armor.
Congratulations, Garrison. That's a point.
Don't take off your helmet.
No.
Can you think of any more?
Honor.
Defending yourself, because weapons are your religion.
Hang on a second. Yes.
Honor.
Bro,
Loyalty.
Yep.
give it to me.
No, I'm going to give it to you. I want to see if you can get any more.
Am I muted?
Saying this is the
No,
way
you're
all
not muted. I just want to see if Garrison can get any
Oh,
more.
okay.
I don't know, like, okay, like, I don't know, community. Something about
Moving
like
on.
the good of the
CJ?
clan.
Honor.
So the first two are no, that's not specifically mentioned.
Loyalty.
Not also neither specifically mentioned.
There's so much
Garrison-
Mandalorian
Garrison
stuff that
was-
is labeled.
Garrison was right on top with wearing armor and defending oneself. Those are 2 of the tenets. Can anybody have a guess anymore? Drew?
Family. Is that one?
Yes. Yes, family is one.
Oh, no.
Saying this is the way all the time.
You're getting very moody whenever anyone touches your weapon.
Oh,
like,
listen
weapons
to the
are a
Mandalore.
religion.
Follow the Mandalore.
All
I'm
of
like-
the Mandalore.
Follow the Mandalore.
Follow the
Yeah,
Mandalore.
no.
No.
The I don't
Bringing
know.
up Creed way too much.
Turn into a cult when shit gets real.
Turn into a cult when shit blow up the whole planet.
It should be.
Okay, I'm gonna read them out to you. And Kyle, have you got any guesses?
Yeah.
So
You have
wearing
to,
armor, defending oneself.
you have to follow the clan, respect the clan, your clan. Foulings, you must
One
take
of
in
them-
foulings.
Yep.
And that's all I got. I don't know after that.
Rob the Mythosaur.
I'm gonna give 2 points to Kyle and 2 points to Garrison and a point to Drew. And I'll work that one out in a bit. The 6 tenets of the raison d'être are wearing armor, speaking the language, defending oneself and family, raising your children as Mandalorians, contributing to the clan's welfare, and when called upon by the Mandalore, rally to the cause.
Hey, we said Mandalore. Follow the Mandalore.
I said
Yeah,
Mandalore.
that's
Yeah,
3
I said
points for
that. I
Garrison.
said that. 3 points. 3 points. 3 points.
Fair. Question number 8. What is a greeble?
A what?
Greeble.
An instrument.
No.
A weapon.
Book.
Is it a
This
porg?
is for some
Like
context.
the
This is
porgs?
to do for context. This is to do specifically with the aesthetic of Star Wars.
Ooh.
The style that we recognize as Star Wars. What is a greeble?
A necklace.
No,
Armor.
it's. I'll give you another clue to do with set dressing.
Said dress.
The way
Oh,
sets
like
are
A
a
designed.
belt. I
What
don't
is a
know.
greeble?
Something about the outside of the ships to make them look cool.
Yes, there you go. There is the point. Congratulations. It is a detailed mechanical texture seen across the outside of most ships in Star Wars. It's the idea of outsides on the insides on the outsides.
So it's kind of like
Um,
livery for like the
Greebly.
vehicles?
Greeblies, kind of, yeah. Inspired originally by 2001: A Space Odyssey, it was mostly developed by ILM when creating the models for Star Wars to create more contact, more texture, more of a kind of alternative feel to what we're used to seeing. However, it has since been adopted as a staple sci-fi aesthetic by Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, Red Dwarf, Aliens, and hundreds of other themes. You'll see it
Okay,
everywhere.
new rule. Garrison must wear some type of glasses during the day so we can see if he's reading shit off of Google. It has to have a reflective coating because I think you're reading shit off of Google because there ain't no way in hell you do the answer. There's no way that you do the answer.
Question number 9. What do the tattoos on Barriss Offie's face mean?
Part of her religious heritage, correct?
No.
Who?
I thought those were like genetic, like Ahsoka's.
Yeah,
No.
that's what I thought. That
I'm
means
just
she's
going to
part
chalk
of
it
a
up to
cult.
another cult.
She's a
No.
rave. She's a raver.
She's a raver.
Yeah, she goes to raves.
No.
Chalking it up to the cult.
Garrison, any guesses?
Nah.
Nah. So, it means the markings on her face, their tattoos, they mean that the Force has singled her out for a greater destiny.
So are people tattoo that on her face because she has force abilities when she's a baby?
Yeah. About yeah.
Oh man, they
He was
whole culture
considered
sucks.
special and
You just tattooing babies. That's jacked up.
Coming over there. It's not a machine. It's literally the old tap method. That's all it is.
The Hawaiian tap method.
Question number 10. There's only 3 more, Drew. I swear. Question number 10. What well-known literary character inspired the design of the Rancor?
An actor came up with the Rancor?
No, not an actor, author, a literary character in books. A character in a very famous book directly inspired the design of the Rancor. Does anybody know what that character is? /book/author.
Stephen King.
Stephen King. Good guess.
Yeah.
Is it like a mythological character? Okay.
Yes.
Is it from like mythology? I'm just gonna.
No, not quite.
Guess. All right. I was gonna say like the Minotaur. But...
Minotaur, no. Getting definitely in the right area. This is hard because I don't know how many clues I can give you before I'm just giving you the answer. What about I said some very, very famous children's books?
It's from a children's book?
Sorry, Drew?
The Cat in the Hat?
The Cat in the Hat, no.
Oh.
Green Eggs and Ham.
Boogeyman.
Horton Hears a Who?
Horton Hears a Who. No, it's not. It is not Dr. Zoid.
Where the wild things are.
It's no.
Hey, did you hear Garrison's guess?
No, it's not from Where the Wild Things Are. Chat is silent. Silent.
See, this is bad. This is when we know it's bad. This is when the chat can't even Google it.
This is Charlie's Impossible Quiz. Fine. The answer. The design for the Rancor was inspired by John Tonelli's 1872 illustration of Lewis Carroll's Jabberwocky.
Really?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have never got.
Are you not an Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass?
Nope.
No.
Oh my
Dude,
God.
Alice in Wonderland scared me as a child. I hate Alice in Wonderland.
That's fair.
Still brings up scary memories, bro.
That is what George used to directly inspire the design of the Rancor. Horrifying. Question number 11. What make is Han Solo's blaster? CJ.
DL-44.
Yes, it is. There is the point. Have it, eat it, love it.
Boom!
Easy question.
Forgot to raise my hand. Good job.
She always throws in this easy question.
She lets me have the Han Solo stuff, and I appreciate it.
Our final question is: who created the Tuscan Sign Language as seen in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett?
Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau, no.
Dave Filoni.
I'm
gonna give it to Bryce.
It is the real sign language, right? It is. Comes from our world, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like real sign language that comes from our world? Whoever created sign language in our world.
A real deaf person. A real guy, deaf person of some kind. Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yes, Garrison, you are absolutely correct. Troy Costa, who was one of the actors for the Tuscans, he's a deaf actor, activist, and director, and he specifically developed what he coined as Tuscan Sign Language. So similar themes from American Sign Language, but also some differences to make it feel more as part of the universe.
That's sick.
Can Tuscan Raiders read Braille?
No, because they're not blind.
They're not blind.
Wow, I'm just going to forget I said that. I thought I had a point and I didn't have a point. Terribly sorry if that was upsetting or offensive to anyone. But yeah. Also, along with vocalizations, which were made by braying donkeys, which is a question we've had on the quiz before and I love. Braying donkeys echoed against walls. I asked, one of the first impossible quiz questions I ask is, what's the animal responsible for the noise of the Tuscan Raiders? And Garrison went, donkey. And that's a core memory for this podcast for me.
That sounds like me.
Oh, wow. That was okay. See, that's what I'm saying. Like George Lucas, unless you read every single encyclopedia that has to do with Star Wars, you're not getting none of these. You're not getting these. These are all guessing questions. You just throw guesses out there.
the more
a
questions I
gift.
have to write, the more obscure and harder they're getting, because I can't just sit here and ask you 10 questions like, what did Han say to Leia instead of I love you? Like, it's got to be.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's got
That's
to
the
be.
thing that sucks because
she literally asked like, "What is Cod Vanth's underwear color?" kind of questions. Like, how are we supposed to know this?
When was that a question? I don't
That
remember
was-
that one.
It was never a question. You
Gareth.
don't think it was a
That's how weird it. That's how weird and obscure.
It's like, I think I missed that scene.
It's a deleted scene. Just go back and go through the deleted scenes.
Yeah, they're very, very, very. But that's another thing. It makes it because on like today we were supposed to do, somebody else was supposed to do the question, but we didn't want to do that because we had a special guest with Drew today.
Why did you have your
But next week Garrison has to do them, and like I'll tell you this. I was like, when I first saw, like, I went and looked online. That's like the first thing I did when it was my week. I went and looked online. And I'm like, all these questions suck, man. Everybody knows the answers to these questions.
We're
like,
gonna call it.
You have to like really. You have to dig deep to find questions that are hard.
We're gonna call it Garrison's possible quiz. Okay.
What was the first?
Garrison's probable quiz. Honestly.
Drew, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. You've been a star. You've been wonderful.
Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Honestly, an absolute pleasure.
It was awesome.
Yeah, this was so much fun.
It really was.
This is really a long episode. And this was fun.
Just so our listeners are aware, when do Tuscan Radio, when do you guys share your show? What's your weekly drop times? And give us the
Where can they reach you at?
Yeah,
give us a breakdown.
So we're doing 2 episodes a week right now. Wednesday mornings around like 7 a.m. There's like an instant take, like 15 minutes for Book of Boba Fett.
Nice.
And then Fridays are like the full like hour and a half, 2-hour show, just talking about news and just listener feedback and all of our more constructed thoughts on the episode. But then, like, you know, we're getting into, after Boba Fett, what are we going to talk about? Probably the Kenobi trailer, because our theory is that it's going to drop during the Super Bowl next weekend.
Yes.
It has to.
Absolutely, it has to.
It would be smart. It's the market for it.
Yeah.
Are you Twitter, Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, Twitter is at Tuscan Radio Pod.
Nice.
That's what it is. And then we got a Marvel podcast also. New episodes on Fridays, just going through some of the more like what if movies, like the X-Men things and stuff before Multiverse Madness comes out. So yeah.
Don't get. Can I come on your Marvel podcast? Because I've got some thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody in the chat, for joining us this week. It has been a wonderful show, as always. You can find us on Wednesday for the episode finale of Book of Boba Fett. Oh my god, I'm so excited!
Supposed finale.
Sorry, supposed finale. As always, you can find us on all major social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of that good stuff. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It means the absolute world. From me and everyone here at LightSaber Radio, and from Drew and the rest of Tuscan Radio, be safe. Be kind, and as always, may the force be with every single one of you. Mwah. Bye-bye.
Oh, wait a minute. I wasn't ready.
Now we see.
I think that's that should be our theme. Kyle is never ready.
Kyle is never ready.
Thank you for tuning in to LSR. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing so you can be notified when new episodes are released. If you would like to be a guest on the show or just want to give us some feedback, feel free to email us. You can also reach out to us on all major social media platforms. They're linked in the show notes below. LightSaber Radio is produced by Pick Film Media and is a Swaycast original, starring Charlie Harwood, Garrison Turcott, CJ Elliott, and Carl McDaniel. And don't forget to join us next time for more adventures in a galaxy far, far away.